What's up, you guys? Massive news, as it seems that Conor McGregor will be announcing tomorrow his return date. I'm gonna go ahead and break down his tweet right here. Please, you guys, like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. So, McGregor put out a tweet saying that, on New Year's, he will reveal, who and when he's gonna be fighting next. Right off the bat, I see so many red flags with this tweet that not a lot of people are mentioning. And one of those being is when he says who. Like, what do you mean who? We all know that it's going to be Michael Chandler, and with Conor McGregor going ahead and saying who, it gives me a lot of worry and doubt that, the UFC is going to be skipping out on Chandler. I'm going to go ahead and, talk about maybe potential other options for Conor, but we shouldn't even be having this conversation in the first place. I mean, Michael Chandler has waited for over a year for Conor to return. They made him go through the whole season of The Ultimate Fighter. They built that fight up, and for it not to come to fruition would be so disappointing, man. In regards to when he says when, I mean, we all hope and pray that it's going to be UFC 300, but as the days go by, it seems that that is more and more and more unlikely, man. And I'm really fed up with it, bro. Since, last year when we were told that McGregor was going to be fighting Chandler, I mean, this was more towards the beginning of the year. Then we had to wait till, I believe it was May for the season of The Ultimate Fighter came out. Then they said the fight was not going to take place until September. Okay, they pushed it from September to December. No fight in September or December. They said it was going to happen in January. Not happening in January. And now they placed it for the main big date, UFC 300. And now it seems like that is, more than unlikely. And it has nothing to do with, Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler has gone out and he said, just give me the date, I will be there. I do also feel like you could make the argument that it's not McGregor's fault, as, he's gone out in interviews, saying that he's fed up, that, you're keeping him away from competition. It just all around seems that he just wants to get back in there as soon as possible. Maybe it is, the UFC trying to, cash out 2 times this year. You got to think about it. At a business standpoint, you're already getting UFC 300. That is such a big event because of the name itself, not attaching any person, to that event. It's already going to be massive because it's UFC 300. Why also put McGregor on the event when you could save McGregor for a later event and get two big, events? And, with those events, obviously, I mean in numbers, because, we know at the end of the day, this is a business. That would be a smart business move. But to us, the fans, we would rather much see McGregor on 300. So I really hope that when this news comes out tomorrow and we do, make the next video, that we're talking about Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, UFC 300. But in the chance that it's not that, that we do have to, that we do have to wait till summertime for McGregor to come back, which there have already been reports that, McGregor won't be returning until, June, July. If that is the case and they do not go with Michael Chandler, which would be so heartbreaking and disappointing, man, I do think there are a couple names that you could throw at McGregor. So, I've already seen people, mentioning Dustin Poirier. I think that Dustin Poirier fight is a massive fight, regardless of when and where you put it. Those guys have bad blood. Same thing, with how I feel about the Nate Diaz fight. But I do feel that in regards to both fights, I feel like Conor needs to get a couple of wins and then revisit those fights, because those were his last 2 fights against Dustin Poirier. I would like to see it again, but I want to see a new fresh face against McGregor, and maybe we could revisit that. And in terms of the Nate Diaz fight, like I said, that's something that you could revisit down the line again. But man, I'm tired of these guys always teasing this fight between back and forth. It just seems like win or lose, with both guys, McGregor and Diaz, win or lose their next fight, they're always saying, okay, well, Conor's there, well, Nate's there. They're always revisiting the idea of completing their trilogy, when I'm not gonna lie, not not a lot of people are asking for that. No, you know, you give me an option between picking Nate or Dustin, I'm gonna pick Dustin. The biggest one that I will mention other than those two guys is Justin Gaethje. You're not gonna give the fans, you know, Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. I think the best second option, which I don't feel like many people will be disappointed by, especially me, man. I'd honestly love to see this fight. Like I said, my preferred first choice would be Chandler, but if we don't get that, I would love to see a fight between Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. At this point, this fight would have been, you know, 4 years in the making. You know, this has been teased to us numerous times, but, you know, the most prominent was all the way back, you know, in 2020 when Gaethje became, you know, interim champion, and then Conor was coming off of that, you know, first round knockout over Cowboy. You know, they were, you know, teasing that they were going to make that fight happen, but, you know, Gaethje, you know, he said he didn't want anything to do with McGregor until after, you know, he got past Khabib, because, you know, his aspiration was to become world champion. With Gaethje's momentum right now being the BMF holder and potentially having, you know, that fight against Islam, you know, for the undisputed title next, he is kind of taking a similar approach where it's like, I want to fight for the belt first, and then, you know, I can do those big fights like a Conor McGregor next. So in a world where the UFC decides to go and do Islam versus Charles 2, and they leave Gaethje out of the, you know, mix, and they don't decide to book him with Max Holloway or any other lightweight, I think a best second option would be Gaethje versus Conor. I mean, Conor's name will always be tied to the BMF belt regardless if he's competed for it or not. We all had those like fantasy matchmakings with him and Jorge Masvidal. Can you imagine if they put the BMF belt with him and Diaz again? You know, Conor McGregor himself just fits the aura of what the UFC wants to do with the BMF belt, and I think that a fight with him and Gaethje, you know, that would just be amazing, man. And the styles, man, of both guys, it'd just be such a fun, exciting fight to watch. But like I said, that is if we don't go with Chandler. Not to say that I would like to see this instead. Like I mentioned, my hope for tomorrow's announcement is going to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, you know, UFC 300. That's that, man. Please, you guys, like the video, comment down below. What are your guys' thoughts? Who do you guys think, you know, McGregor is going to announce for tomorrow? Do you guys hope it's Michael Chandler? What direction do you see them taking with McGregor's career? Please like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.